Okay then folks, very much in the light of Cold War Steve, I've chosen two pictures. A celebrity, six-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, Formula One driver for those who don't know, but you should all know that. And also piece of classical art, I chose a picture of King Henry VIII. What we're going to do is we're going to find a ways of using selection tools in order to get it onto this picture. You will see from my cursor, um, this picture's not just chosen at random. There's pictures, you'll see that there's the way the light is hitting, the way the direction of the face is looking, the way the shoulders are stood. This is all very much important in when you're creating one of these pieces. So you look, the light is coming in from the right hand side of the face, on both the photo of Lewis and also on the picture of King Henry VIII. The shade, the darkness on the left hand side of the face of both. This is very important also because it means that your picture will look more realistic. If you've got light coming in from the front, then it just won't look in the same vein. So let's pick the polygonal lasso tool as our first tool. See, this is one of the tools, a selection tool that you'll find is very quick, very simple to use. But unfortunately, yeah, you can't get any curves on it, and so where it's quick, we all know this, that if you use it a quick method, then it is going to basically put at risk the quality of the image. So I'm just trying to do my best here for you, and you can see, with the polygonal lasso, that we can select whole areas. If you look into the top left hand of the screen, you can see where what we're on. We're currently on subtractive selection, and so what we're doing is currently subtracting from the image layer. So just drawing around it now as we go. Apologies if any time during this recording it doesn't really look like I mean, if I may stop talking, is because I'm just focusing on what I'm doing for you folks. So yep, there we go. When we draw it round, just finish off. We get the marching ants. You get the little circle by the side of the polygonal cursor, and then we get marching ants. So from here, go up to select menu, inverse selection. This will select everything apart from what you've selected. Make sure you clicked on the layer and then hit delete, and you've deleted the item. Go back up to your move tool, and we can move it now, and we can see the sort of selection that we've got. Very rough cut, very jagged, polygonal as the name suggests in the lasso tool. So now, what might be a good idea, let's try a different tool. What we're going to try over here. Let's try the quick subtractive tool. I would say some people like using this. I'm not a fan. It takes out too much of the image. You'll see that if we cut that out now, it's going to take away all the dark shades, all the dark tones, and this is not what we want. Even if we try subtracting it, it's not going to work. It's not very helpful. It's not very useful. Please don't use it. Unless you know exactly what you're doing. There's also the lasso tool, standard lasso. This is for those people who are unbelievably careful with their mouse, because everywhere you drag, when you hold and drag it, you're going to be picking up different images, different pieces of the image, different pixels. It's definitely not the way to go if you wanted something that's easy, because one slip and you do something like that, there you've selected a whole area that you didn't want and you can't move it. The only way that you can do is if you then select all the area like that, go up to the top left hand side, and you'll see with the selection tools, there's that, which is a new selection. There's additive selection, which you'll click on now. Then every time you select another piece, it adds it to that selection. This is all in the additive selection in the top left hand side of the toolbar, as you can see. So we just adding and adding and adding until we've got something that looks a bit more like what we want. But again, this is very, very quick, very inaccurate, and I wouldn't recommend it for this project. So we can also have, yeah, as you can see, not very good results, not very pleasing in the end. It's a bit lazy, to be fair. There is also, yeah, magic wand. We know about the magic wand. Yeah, just select an area, delete, done. Awful pixelation. I would suggest, if you're going to do this, please smarten it up before you do anything with it, or change the variables on it to get a good line. Right, we should really be using the pen tool, but before we do, I just want to show you one more that you may find helpful. Excuse me. Is the magnetic lasso tool. Magnetic lasso is pretty much, it tries to stick to the closest pixels. If you have a full HD image, this might be of use to you. Otherwise, this image that I've got has quite a bit of what we call JPEG artifact, which is the bits and sort of dots and pixelation around the outside of the image, and so they're not overly useful in this case. But some people might like using this, and then also once you finish using this, you click onto it, you can tidy up your line afterwards if so wish. You know, you go something like back up to your polygonal tool, make sure you're on additive at the top left, click on additive, and then you can add additional to the image, to your selection. Yeah, voila, nice, eh? If you want to subtract, go on subtractive again. We can go up and just say take out this whole earring thing there. There you go. So there, and you've got the subtractive layer there, taking away anything that you've select with subtractive on. Oops, no, forgot to inverse. So we select inverse, Control Shift I is selective inverse. So let's do the one that we know. Oh yeah, if you can use the, if you want to tidy it up a little bit, the eraser tool. We've gone for a hard eraser here. A hard eraser will get rid of items yeah, with a hard line, and also if you wanted, you could use soft tool, which gives a more feathered effect. I'll go into this a little bit more shortly. So right, so we want to do something a little bit better. Smarten this up a little bit nicer. We need to get a nicer line. So just finish off this. Yeah, not overly great. Yeah, I want to be overly pleased with that. It'll do for a fast fix. I mean, you know, I wouldn't suggest it's the best way to go. So let's go back to the start. Let's go for the pen tool. The pen tool. Now you need to be zoomed in close with the pen tool because you're going to be working on a highly pixelated sort of like area. You can see these are all the things, the JPEG artifact, the little spotting of pixels around the outside. We all know how to use the pen tool by now, we should. Anyway, let's take your dots, work it around the image. This is slow, laborious process, but gives the best quality images at the end of the day. You should be able to rotate your mouse wheel up in order to get them. And remember, when you want to go around corners, then we just pull out like so, and then move on to the next one. If you want to then change any of the direction of the lines, the curved lines, we can pull them out with either the alt or the control key, whichever works for you, depending on whether you're using a Mac or whether you're using a PC. And we just slowly work around this line. Remember to keep the splines moving off in the direction that you want to be moving next. If you want it to be a sharp corner that you're going to move into next, you need to move either the handle or just do a single click when you're creating the next line, and then you can do a single click with the following point and the following anchor point. So just tidying up these handles. Remember to tidy them up, you're going to need to use things such as the control key and the alt key. These do different things, but we all know this already, so let's continue using this. If you have any problems using the pen tool, if there are any problems you have whatsoever by now, don't be afraid to say, don't be afraid to ask. I am more than willing to come and spend time with you and show you how to do it. I can even call you up and then share my screen with you, or I can give you instructions over the phone. I can give you instructions through the chat function. You know, it's understandable that it's a hard tool to use. Don't worry. You know, once you get used to this, the pen tool is going to be absolutely your best friend when it comes to things like cutting out or making direct selections, fantastic masks, and great collages. You can probably all guess that, yeah, especially after the challenge weeks that we had before, that digital collage is certainly one of my favourite areas of graphic design. So we're just moving down through the head now. We're just taking it onto this ear. This is a bit weird because it looks like, yeah, the head sort of curves round the side, round the back of the ear. So it's a bit of guesswork, this, you know. I think we'll go for somewhere about around there. Then we'll shift out the handle. As soon as we've shifted out the handle, yep, let's shift out the handle. We go onto the outside of the ear. It springs the line back right down. So we're just making the most direct selection as possible. Yeah, maybe that's not perhaps oh, don't know what I'm doing there. Okay, let's bring that back. Let's make it all one line, and that seeps onto the apex just okay. And drop in right down into the bottom of this image, just under the ear. Shift out the handle. Oops, come on, shift. There we go. Just dropping this down onto the neck. Okay. Right, I'm going to finish it off. Go around the outside of the neck, as you know. Then we right click in the middle, and you want make selection. We'll have no feathering, no feather needed. Okay, then we've got our selection going. And we delete. Okay, so I think you'll see that we've got a much smoother, much nicer cut of this image. So let's drop this down. Let's drop this image down. And so, yeah, you'll notice now from this image that yeah, the head is looking a little bit, yeah, like it's not the right sort of size. So what I would highly recommend, let's zoom in first. Let's get, so this is in the right area. Drop it in. You might want to drop the opacity. So you see the opacity, we've got it's just about the right sort of size. So let's make the head slightly bigger. Slightly bigger. So we're wanting to cover up the head of Henry VIII behind, and some reason always works just as well. you'll see right then. So let's start moving it out. So we've got the opacity down so that we can see the hat, the line of the head. Let's just get a little area. Let's lop off a bit of the ear so the ear falls in between, in behind the hat. And there we go. We make our selection, delete it, all done, bosh. There you go. And so now you see, yeah, we'll increase the opacity again on the face, and you see we've got a nice little line, but there's a few things we can do to tidy this up. Yeah, first of all, let's just select our eraser. We'll go for a soft edge. Drop the size right down. Oh, sorry, smudge tool, not eraser. And for the smudge tool, we can just pull this line of the head just up slightly. With a soft brush, you get this sort of effect if you drag too quickly. I'll show you what you get if you get a hard brush. Then you get more of that sort of thing. It goes too much. So let's take this down. Yeah, we'll use the soft brush, quite a small one, and we'll just ease the sides of the head, the edge of the head up into the hat. Push it all around. You only have to do a very little bit of this. We'll maybe take out the neck slightly. Let's take out our eraser tool. Take out the eraser, and then what we're going to do, we're just going to draw it along the line of the coat, along Henry VIII's jacket. We'll maybe even take it over to the side and just take in a little bit of that neck. Now, might take a bit more of this neck away in a bit. It's starting to look a little bit strange without that bit of neck in it. So what can we do? So we've got the eraser at the moment. Just thinking about what we're going to take. So yeah, let's take off that bit of the neck. That looks better. Okay, so you will notice that on the Henry VIII in the background, we've still got a little bit of his face poking out. So we selected our clone tool on the left hand side. You want to put your clone tool somewhere where there's a bit of background. Hold down Alt, press and click your mouse button like so. So hold down Alt, and then we draw it just back in over the background. Same with a bit of the neck on the left hand side. We'll have a look, see how we're just moving it away with pattern. Excuse me. We can have a look what areas else of the neck that we can remove to remove there. We just duplicate a bit of that pattern in, and same on the right. We're starting to get a bit more of this design. It's starting to look a little bit better. It's starting to look a little bit more like how we want it to look. We could still shrink, play with scale, but I would say, yeah, let's move that up into that sort of area. So it looks more like the hat's sitting on him. We can play with the shading a bit. You know, you could add a bit of shadow to the top to make it look like the hat was sitting on him a bit better. If it's possible, we could take the smudge tool again. But what we can do, let me show you. Let me show you the dodge and burn tools. Okay, so dodge tools. Now, if we select the dodge tool, and at the top you notice shadows, midtones and highlights. Whatever you whichever one you want to lighten or brighten into an image, this makes it more exposed. So if we go for the highlights or the midtones, then it might expose everything that's a highlight or a midtone within that C. So that starts brightening up the right hand side of Lewis Hamilton's face, our right, not his right. But that sometimes takes it to an overexposed level. So what you might want to do is then counteract that with the burn tool. Go to the midtones, take down the size slightly, and let's start burning a few midtones. That makes it a bit darker on the left hand side. This will alter the whole contrast of the item, of the image, but it does it without altering absolutely everything on the same layer. This is it's basically spot contrasting. So if you want to contrast in different areas, you could use that. So from here, we're just tidying it up ever so slightly, a little bit more, and then you can see, voila, we have now Lewis Hamilton dressed as King Henry VIII. I would suggest that if you want to follow the same sort of guidelines that have been shown in this, but also, you know, try it out. I would suggest though, when you are looking at it, look at the angle of the head, the angle of the shoulders, because the shoulders show you a lot about where the angle of the head is looking, and also look at the direction of the light is coming in. With that, just have some fun. Okay guys, thank you very much. I hope that's been useful for you. I'm available during the whole session. Please get in contact with me if you need to. If there's anything I can help with, please just ask. Okay, cheers folks.